Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. US envoy Steve Witkoff announced the Phase 2 of President Trump's Gaza ceasefire plan forms a technocratic Palestinian committee in the territory. Starting January 21st, President Trump's administration will halt visa processing for visitors from 75 countries, including Pakistan. Iran closes its airspace as tensions with the US soar. India advises its nationals to leave Iran immediately. Prime Minister Modi to inaugurate 28th Commonwealth Speakers Conference in New Delhi, presiding officers from 42 Commonwealth countries to discuss key parliamentary issues. And India celebrates 78th Army Day, salutes courage, sacrifice and unwavering commitment of brave hearts. And on to the details now. The US announced the start of the next phase of the Gaza peace plan on Wednesday as a new committee was formed to run the battered enclave. Now, US President Donald Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, on Wednesday announced the launch of Phase 2 of Trump's 20-point plan to end the Gaza conflict. Well, the US announced the start of the next phase of the Gaza peace plan on Wednesday as a new committee was formed to run the battered enclave. This is Phase 2 of the plan, and US President Donald Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, on Wednesday announced the launch of Phase 2 of Trump's 20-point plan to end the Gaza conflict. In fact, in a post on social media on Wednesday, Witkoff said the Phase 2 establishes a transitional technocratic Palestinian administration in Gaza, the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, and begins the full demilitarization and reconstruction of Gaza, primarily the disarmament of all unauthorized personnel. Also, he underlined that the United States expects Hamas to fully comply with its obligations, including the immediate return of the final deceased hostage. He warned failure to do so will bring serious consequences. Now, Witkoff also highlighted the achievements of the earlier state and said Phase 1 had delivered historic humanitarian aid, ensuring the continuation of the ceasefire. Also, Witkoff expressed gratitude to regional mediators for their role in advancing the process. Early in October 2025, Israel and Hamas accepted the initial stage of Trump's 20-point framework, which includes a ceasefire in the two-year conflict and a deal on the release of Israeli hostages. Also, the UK government issued an advisory against all essential travel to Israel, revising its earlier advisory that warned against travel to only some parts of the country. The British Foreign Office in its travel advice page mentioned that there is a heightened risk of regional tension. Escalation could lead to travel disruption and other unanticipated impacts. And the U.S. State Department on Wednesday announced to suspend processing for immigrant visas for applicants from 75 countries. Now, the State Department in a social media post stated that it will pause immigrant visa processing from 75 countries whose migrants take welfare from the American people at unacceptable rates. The freeze will remain active until the U.S. can ensure that new immigrants will not extract wealth from the American people. Countries affected by the move include Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Iran, Russia, Somalia, Brazil, Nigeria and Thailand, among others. Also, the State Department has revoked more than 100,000 visas since Trump took office. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday he has been told that killings in Iran's crackdown on nationwide protest were subsiding and that he believes there is currently no plan for large-scale executions. Also, Trump did not rule out potential U.S. military action, saying we are going to watch what the process is, before noting the U.S. administration received a very good statement from Iran.
We've been told that the killing in Iran is stopping, and it's stopped, and it's stopping. And there's no plan for executions or executions. So I've been told that on good authority. We'll find out about it. I'm sure if it happens, we'll all be very upset, including you will be very upset, but that's just gotten to me, some information that the killing has stopped, that the executions have stopped. They're not going to have an execution, which a lot of people were talking about for the last couple of days. Today was going to be the day of execution.
Now, Trump's comments come as fears have escalated in the Middle East that the United States could launch strikes on Iran following the U.S. president's repeated threats to intervene on behalf of protesters. In a televised interview on Monday, Trump had warned that the United States would take very strong action if Iran's authorities went ahead with executing protesters they had detained during widespread unrest. And Iran has closed its airspace temporarily to most flights late on Wednesday, forcing airlines to cancel, reroute or delay some flights amid concerns about possible military action between the United States and Iran. Iran said in a notice posted by the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration that it had closed its airspace to all flights except international ones to and from Iran with official permission. The prohibition was set to last for more than 2 hours until 30 GMT, but the end time was an estimate, the notice said. Missile and drone barrages in a growing number of conflict zones represent a high risk to airline traffic. And amid ongoing protest in Iran, the Indian government has issued a fresh travel advisory for its citizens. The Ministry of External Affairs said that in view of the current developments in Iran, internationals are advised against traveling to the country until further notice. Detailed advisory further states that in continuation of the advisory issued by the Government of India on 5th of January and in view of the evolving situation in Iran, internationals who are currently in Iran are advised to leave Iran by available means of transport, including commercial flights. Also, it has reiterated that all Indian citizens and PIOs should exercise due caution, avoid areas of protest or demonstrations, stay in contact with the Indian Embassy in Iran and monitor local media for any developments. The emergency contact helplines of the Indian Embassy are provided below, which are mobile numbers that are +98 91 281 09115. +98 91 28 109 109 and +989 128 109 102, and the last number is +98 99 321 79359, and the email is cons.tehran@mea.gov.in. Well, India's largest airline, Indigo, said some of its international flights would be impacted by Iran's sudden airspace closure. Air India said its flights were using alternative routes that could result in delays or cancellations. India's largest airline, Indigo, said some of the international flights would be impacted by Iran's sudden airspace closure. In a post on X, Indigo said the situation is beyond our control, adding, due to the sudden airspace closure by Iran, some of our international flights are impacted. Meanwhile, Air India also noted that some flights are being cancelled when rerouting isn't feasible. The airline added that due to the developing situation in Iran, its flights that normally pass over the area are now taking alternate routes, which could cause delays. Well, the United States already prohibits all U.S. commercial flights from overflying Iran, and there are no direct flights between the countries. Airline operations like Fly Dubai and Turkish Airlines have cancelled multiple flights to Iran in the past week. Lufthansa said on Wednesday that it would bypass Iranian and Iraqi airspace until further notice, while it would only operate day flights to Tel Aviv and Amman from Wednesday until Monday next week. And U.S. President Donald Trump talked to news agency Reuters in an exclusive interview where he disclosed his plans for Iran, Ukraine, and others. On an issue with Iran, U.S. President Donald Trump said that Iranian opposition figure Reza Pahlavi seems very nice, but expressed uncertainty over whether Pahlavi would be able to muster support within Iran to eventually take over. In an exclusive Reuters interview in the Oval Office, Trump said there is a chance Iran's clerical government could collapse. Trump has repeatedly threatened to intervene in support of protesters in Iran, where thousands of people have been reported killed in a crackdown on the unrest against clerical rule. But he was reluctant on Wednesday to lend his full support to Pahlavi. Well, in an interview, Trump also talked about the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Trump, who has struggled throughout his presidency to end Russia's conflict in Ukraine, despite campaign boasts that he could end it in a day, said Zelensky is the main impediment to resolving the 4-year-old conflict. Trump has frequently criticized both Russian President Vladimir Putin and Zelensky, but seemed more downbent once again on the Ukrainian president. Trump said Putin is ready to make a deal. Asked what the holdup is, Trump said simply Zelensky. And in the first medical evacuation, 4 astronauts have left the International Space Station a month early on Wednesday. 4 astronauts have successfully departed the International Space Station on Wednesday in a historic medical evacuation that took less than a week to plan. The Crew Dragon capsule, carrying 2 U.S. NASA astronauts, a Japanese crewmate and a Russian cosmonaut, undocked from the space station and began its descent from orbit at about 22:20 GMT, headed for a splashdown in the Pacific Ocean off the California coast early on Thursday. Control of the ISS has been handed over to Russian cosmonaut Sergei Kutsverchkov and 2 other crew members. And U.S. President Donald Trump reiterated on Wednesday that the U.S. needs Greenland and that Denmark cannot be relied upon to protect the island, while expressing confidence that a solution on its future governance would emerge. The remarks, which came after a high-stakes meeting between U.S., Danish and Greenlandic officials, indicates that there are still fundamental differences between how Washington, Copenhagen and Nuuk see the political future of the island. Speaking at the Oval Office, Trump stressed Greenland's importance to national security, arguing that Denmark would be unable to prevent Russia or China from attempting to take control, unlike the U.S. Earlier, Denmark's and Greenland's foreign ministers met U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Vice President J.D. Vance. Afterwards, officials announced plans to create a joint working group to address a wide range of Greenland-related issues in the coming weeks.
And the problem is, there's not a thing that Denmark can do about it if Russia or China wants to occupy Greenland. But there's everything we can do. You found that out last week with Venezuela. There's everything we can do about things such as that. Not going to happen. We're not, I can't rely on Denmark being able to fend themselves off. I have a very good relationship with Denmark, and we'll see how it all works out. I think something will work out.
Well, U.S. President Donald Trump signed an order on Wednesday imposing tariffs on imports of certain semiconductors to allow NVIDIA to sell advanced AI chips to China. White House Staff Secretary Will Schraff said at an event the 25% tariff effective from Thursday applies to chips that are transshipped through the United States to other foreign countries. This covers technology like the NVIDIA H200 chip and AMD's MI325X. Trump said last month that he reached an agreement with Chinese President Xi Jinping to allow U.S. chip giant NVIDIA to export the H200s into China, with the U.S. government getting a 25% cut of sales. The deal was confirmed by the U.S. Commerce Department on Tuesday. The change will permit NVIDIA to sell its powerful H200 chip to Chinese buyers if certain conditions are met, including proof of sufficient U.S. supply, while sales of its most advanced processors would still be blocked. And French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu survived two no-confidence motions in Parliament on Wednesday, allowing his government to turn its attention back to an upcoming budget battle. The motions, brought by the far-right National Rally and the hard-left France Unbowed, protested the EU's Mercosur trade agreement, which France opposed but EU states approved last week. Both parties accused the government of failing to block the deal, though the Socialists and Conservatives declined to support the censure efforts. As a result, both motions failed to secure enough votes. Lecornu said the moves wasted time needed for debate on the 2026 budget. One option under consideration is invoking Article 49.3 to pass the budget without a vote, a step likely to trigger fresh no-confidence attempts. France's fragile political balance has persisted since President Emmanuel Macron lost his parliamentary majority in 2022. And still to come in this edition of DT India Live. Cold wave and dense fog grips north and east India. IMD issues alerts across multiple states. Musk's X to stop Grok AI from undressing images of real people after backlash.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar.
Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. And moving on, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the 28th Conference of Speakers and Presiding Officers of the Commonwealth at 10:30 a.m. IST at Parliament House Complex in New Delhi. Prime Minister will also address the gathering on the occasion. Also, the conference will be chaired by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, Om Birla, and will be attended by 61 speakers and presiding officers of 42 Commonwealth countries and 4 semi-autonomous parliaments from different parts of the world. The conference will deliberate on a wide range of contemporary parliamentary issues, including the role of speakers and presiding officers in maintaining strong democratic institutions, the use of artificial intelligence in parliamentary functioning, the impact of social media on members of parliament, innovative strategies to enhance public understanding of Parliament and citizen participation beyond voting, among others. And January 15th marks an Indian Army Day, a day that honours the courage, sacrifice and unwavering commitment of the soldiers who stand guard over the nation's borders. This year, the celebrations hold a special significance as Army Day is being commemorated in Jaipur, the capital of Rajasthan, reflecting India's rich military heritage and strategic legacy. Our report.
Every year on January 15th, the nation salutes the men and women in olive green who dedicate their lives to the service of the motherland. Indian Army Day commemorates the historic moment in 1949 when General K.M. Cariappa took over as the first Indian Commander-in-Chief of the Indian Army, marking a crucial step in India's journey as a sovereign nation. More than 7 decades later, the Indian Army continues to stand as a symbol of discipline, valor, and national pride. This year, Jaipur hosts the Army Day celebrations, bringing the spotlight to Rajasthan's deep-rooted martial traditions. From the valorous Rajput legacy to its strategic geographical importance, the state has long contributed brave warriors to the armed forces. The Indian Army today is a formidable force, modern, agile and battle-ready. Equipped with advanced weaponry, cutting-edge technology and highly trained personnel, it remains prepared to counter both conventional and emerging security challenges. Guarding some of the world's most difficult terrains, from icy Himalayan heights to vast desert frontiers, the Indian Army plays a pivotal role in defending India's sovereignty and safeguarding its territorial integrity. Beyond the battlefield, the Army is often the first responder during natural disasters, humanitarian crises, and peacekeeping missions. Its role extends from protecting borders to protecting lives, both at home and abroad. Army Day is also an occasion to honor the bravery of soldiers who have gone beyond the call of duty. Gallantry awards presented on the day serve as a reminder of the sacrifices made to keep the nation safe. As the celebrations unfold in Jaipur, the message resonates across the country. The Indian Army stands ever vigilant, ever resilient, committed to the ideals of service before self. Bureau Report, DD India.
And extending his wishes to soldiers on Army Day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on X wrote, and I quote, "On Army Day, we salute the courage and resolute commitment of the Indian Army. Our soldiers stand as a symbol of selfless service, safeguarding the nation with steadfast resolve, at times under the most challenging conditions. The sense of duty inspires confidence and gratitude across the country. We remember with deep respect those who have laid down their lives in the line of duty." And the cold wave conditions continue to grip large parts of the North Indian states, with commuters braving biting winds amid plummeting temperatures. The Indian Meteorological Department has issued an orange alert for Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, Delhi, West Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan, warning of dense to very dense fog, along with cold wave conditions at isolated places. Also, yellow alert is in place over Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand and Odisha, where cold wave conditions are likely at isolated locations. Also, dense fog conditions are expected at isolated places across Bihar, East Uttar Pradesh, Assam and Meghalaya, Sub-Himalayan, West Bengal and Sikkim, affecting visibility during the early hours. Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh, Gilgit-Baltistan, Muzaffarabad continue to experience severe cold and foggy conditions, adding to winter-related challenges. And now to some business news now. X tightens control on its AI chatbot, Grok, after global backlash over sexually explicit and non-consensual image generation. Elon Musk's social media platform X announced new measures to stop its AI chatbot, Grok, from generating sexualized images of real people, including women and children. The platform said it will block the ability to edit explicit images, and the rule applies to all users, including paid subscribers. The move comes as regulators across the world step up action against Grok's image tools following complaints that its spicy mode enabled non-consensual deepfake images. Authorities in the US, UK, France, India and Southeast Asia have launched probes, blocked access or demanded content removals, increasing pressure on X and its AI firm, XAI. And on to sports now. KL Rahul's sparkling century wasn't enough to secure India's grip on the second ODI in Rajkot as New Zealand stormed to a series-levelling win on Wednesday. Rahul's unbeaten 112 off 92 balls, supported by Shubman Gill's composed 56, lifted India to 284 for 7 after early setbacks. Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli fell cheaply, while Kiwi pacer Chris Clark's triple strike denied India a bigger total. In reply, New Zealand recovered from early losses through a commanding stand between Will Young and Daryl Mitchell. Young's fluent 87 laid the foundation, but Mitchell's unbeaten 131 turned the chase firmly in the visitors' favour. Glenn Phillips chipped in with 32 not out, guiding the Kiwis home by 7 wickets and 15 balls remaining, setting up a thrilling series decider. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.